Well, as you can see, I'm on the road. And since I'm in a hotel, there's no cigar or drink, but we are having a conversation, albeit I will have a drink and cigar later tonight. So don't be disappointed. But let's talk about the sheriff and his new proposal to put speed cameras within the school zones. You have to ask, will they work? And the answer is yes. But having read several studies to include the National Institute for Health and some Department of Transportation studies, as well as some university studies, what you found was they do reduce the speed of individuals in school zones about the same as those yellow flashing lights. The only difference is the yellow flashing lights won't give you tickets, the speeding cameras will. So why even use, or how does the sheriff even come up with these suggestions? Is he sitting around in his office one day and, you know what, we should put speeding cameras in there? Well, the truth is what happens is these industries that make these things come to sheriff's departments or go to the various associations and stuff and pitches this great idea to them. And they say, this is going to help you slow down speeders in school zones. Not only that, it's going to generate revenue. $100 ticket, there you go. But don't be so naive. These cameras aren't free. This activity is going to capture your license plate, and you may or may not be driving that car. And then it will go through the process and will send you a ticket. When you pay that ticket, a portion of it goes to the sheriff's department, and a possibly smaller portion goes to the camera company. They don't do it for free. And it's not a preventive measure. Speed cameras within a school zone is not preventative. It's punitive. It simply punishes you for when you break the speed. And yes, they're talking about, well, maybe for 5 miles an hour over. Well, then why even have it if you're going to do 5 miles an hour? So now instead of 20, I can do 25. Why don't you just change the sign to 25? Do you not see this? And what they'll do is they'll say, well, this is for school safety. Kids generally don't walk to school anymore. They ride buses or their parents drop them off. They only slow people down, both the yellow flashing lights and the cameras that give you tickets. So why even venture into this? It's because some company came and marketed this to the sheriff, and the sheriff says, you know what? This sounds like a good idea. I'm sure that the company probably cherry-picked the best studies and gave them those studies and said, look how much it performs. Look how well it is. And that's the profit side of law enforcement, where they will come and tell them they should do things, and sure enough, he's going to make some profit. And they're going to make everything safe. I heard this in Tallahassee with the red light cameras. This is going to stop people from running red lights. Hell, I ran a red light and got a ticket from it. You know what I've done since? Run a red light because I wasn't paying attention. It happens sometimes. It wasn't intentional, I can promise you that. And paying that very large ticket in no way deterred me from doing it. So we don't need this. My answer to this is it is a punitive technique to do exactly what the already established lighting system is doing. Now, if they want to bring something else in addition to it, you can do a speed thing prior to that. You can even expand the speed zones larger to give more room for people to slow down. And you wouldn't have to infringe upon people's rights by giving somebody a ticket, even if they're not the ones driving the cars. Let's just stay with what we have and improve on our current situation instead of trying to bring in a new system that takes pictures of people's license plates and gives them tickets. So the economic development director is leaving. And you probably think, Jimmy, you should be happy about that. And I tell you, no, I'm not. Because it's just another example of the failure of the leadership of this county. What was his actual role? Well, Previously, the website used to say underneath him, tourism. Well, we already have a tourism guy. What was his responsibilities? Did he have a clear responsibility? Did he have specific duties he was supposed to accomplish? And what was the expectation for him? I have to tell you, I would bet it's the lack of leadership from our county administrator, interference from other people on staff, and a lack of direction from our county commissioners on exactly what they expect from them. So this is fair warning to whoever they try to recruit in the future to do this. If you don't start from the very beginning with a very clear expectation, written in paper, documented, reviewed, open to the public to review, and say, this is what we want you to do in your role. This is what your daily responsibilities will be. And this is what we expect you to accomplish. But we're not doing that. Like Bruce Register before him, this economic development director basically was hired and shoved in a corner. And this is the problem with this county. We hire people, we don't maximize the use of them, and then they leave because why be here to just collect a check? Eventually you're going to say, what are we paying this guy for anyway? I know I've said that. And it's really more about the leadership not giving them either the tools or the opportunity to go make things happen. We really have to change the way we do business in this county. And it has to start from our county commissioners. And then it needs to look down to the county administrator and say, hey, this is what we expect you to do. And the county commissioners, whoever you hire next, write it out beforehand. Literally, write it out. Clear, concise, what the roles, responsibilities, and expectations are. So whomever you hire will not have staff stabbing them in the back, neither the administrator or anybody else screwing them over. We need to make sure whoever comes in is not working for tourism, because we already got a guy for that, and he's very good, but actually for economic development, because you complain about the county being broke, and sure enough, it never gets fixed because you're just hiring another body to fill another spot. That's what government does. It needs to stop. If you hire another person for economic development director, do it right this time. So the Wright Rudder lawsuit is getting a little spicy. Hopefully soon it will be over and done with. They'll drop the case. They'll let the man go and do his thing. See, Wright Rudder is a fixed base operator in Inverness. And unlike the one over in Crystal River, he is a very ambitious young man who is trying to bring in more activity, more students, grow the school. The county is suing Wright Rudder because of previous operations, not the current operations, but the previous operations. And they need to drop it. But why it's getting spicy is the Wright Rudder lawsuit. Well, they've asked for all the emails, text messages, and everything you can imagine from the county commissioners and the county administrator, the aviation section, everything. That is spicy because now we get to find out who really thinks what, and hopefully they'll drop the case before it gets too dirty. Because quite often when you start reading emails and text messages, especially text messages, you find less than professional behavior by individuals. You find they really say what they mean. So I would not be too surprised at some point there are some very caustic comments towards Wright Rudder. And again, it can be not only the government computers and the government cell phones. If they say all text messages or all emails, that means private phones as well. That's right. If you're a government employee or a government elected official and somebody does a public records request, they can request that information from your private phone if it is in the private phone, meaning that you'd have to take your private phone, turn it over to the computer specialist. They get to read through all that information, pick out the information in reference to, as an example, the Wright Rudder case. and then they share that with the public. That's right. People don't know that. They can actually go into a government official's phone in the context of finding out that information. Now, you don't get your hands on the phones. It goes through a proper process. But you find out what people really think. So them asking for this was a bold move. I think the county will end up dropping this case because I really do think that the true personal opinions are going to come out about this. The county has screwed this guy over. He's been nothing but motivated and energetic. He's energizing the entire aviation community around Inverness Airport. And he's outperforming, well, the other airport, which apparently isn't too hard. So I think one of the things we need to do is support Right Rudder, go and check him out, and support this effort to win this case so he can get back to focusing singularly on improving our aviation sector. Right Rudder, keep doing the good work. Good job on asking for that information, and we pray you win your case. So it's graduation time. Kids are done with school. They're stepping out. And the reality is, a lot of them aren't going to find jobs. There are already people looking for summer jobs for their kids. There's other people who have just moved here. They're looking for work. And then there's yet more kids who have never looked for work and are now going to enter the job fields. Where do they go? Do they go to Walmart? Do they go to Publix? Do they go to Outback? Now, again, there are some jobs available out there, but not nearly enough. And this is why I harp on economics in this county. We fail our kids when we do not have the ability to provide jobs in this county. And yes, I know there's some that don't want to work, but for those who do, they should be able to. I keep doing these videos because we need to have a future for the next generations. It seems like nobody cares about what the next generation does. Oh, hey, just let them go off to college. Well, a good percentage are not going to college. And a good percentage of those who do go to college don't finish and come back and have to get a job. We need to find ways to encourage our economy to change. Now, earlier I spoke about the economic development director leaving and our county failing by using the economic development director in the way he should have been. But we also have this god-awful attitude about growth in this county. Oh, I like it the way it's been. The county has been in decline for decades. As a kid who grew up here, I had the unique advantage. I would come back every couple of years. And for a while there, it was doing pretty good. Now, I have to tell you, Crystal River and Inverness, they did some improvements. We need to start talking about, again, the comprehensive plan. Where is it? What's the status? When are we going to hear something about that? And it's horrible because it was just a wish list. But that is the plan that basically gives us the opportunity for our kids to have jobs in this community. I mean, you think about it. Daycare, fast food joint, where are these kids going to work? We need to start thinking differently about business in this community. And again, people are going to say, Jimmy, all you talk about is business. You just want paper over the county. Not at all. But it has to have a balance. You can't do nothing in the county because if you do, the county dies, the ability to provide services decreases, and the only thing they can do to fix that is tax you more. But everybody's complaining, I don't want to pay more taxes. Well, that unique balance is you either have to have give and take and give more to allow for businesses to be developed and get staff to get off their ass to make it happen, or you pay more taxes. So this is the unique things about why I talk about economics, because nobody else is. Nobody else in this county is talking about economics. They don't talk about disposable income. They don't talk about having wages that allow you to buy or rent a home you can afford, i.e., affordable housing. They don't talk about these things in the aspects of economics. We don't talk about if you want more roads to be paved, if you want more law enforcement, firefighters, if you want them to have the best equipment. Well, it takes money. You either raise taxes or you figure out how to bring more business in and diversify your economy. And again, we have talked about the challenges of the workforce. It's a bit of a chicken and the egg. I would rather have a business that struggles to get workers than have workers who struggle to get jobs. So think about that whenever we're talking about economics. Understand why it's about the future of this county. And if your only answer to everything in this county is no, well, watch what you get for it. Matter of fact, you don't have to watch. You can drive down 41 and check it out. A lot of people may not remember, but in the 60s and 70s, there was the Indian with the tear. Then you had other activists and stuff like that because factories were polluting. Smog was a thing. You had all these different things where we're finding pollution being put in rivers. You had land that was polluted. And we worked through the 60s, 70s, and 80s to address that. And we didn't get rid of industries. We made the industries work better. Well, data centers are in the same position. The old ones of the 90s and things like that, loud fans because they were air cooled. Then they went to water cooled and it's sucking up water. Well, we don't want that. But we know for a fact that all of that can already be fixed. The same way we fixed industry, we can absolutely fix data centers. These are simple computers in servers that have to be cooled. They take a lot of energy. There's ways to reduce that amount of energy. There's ways to cool these things that do not take water. There's ways to do things. The industry is changing because enough people are speaking out, and good for you for speaking out. But you can't say no to data centers because data centers are simply the computers that deal with everything of modern life. We used to have punch cards, little cards with punch holes in it. You put that in, the computer would read it, the mainframe would hold that information, and now you knew who was doing what. Well, we transitioned over to the servers. Then the servers became connected to the internet, and now you needed more servers, and they got stacked into large columns, and they started producing heat, so they needed to figure out a way to cool them. They air cooled them, then they water cooled them. Now they're doing things like immersion cooling, where they dunk them into non-conductive fluids, mineral oil. So there is ways to do it. The innovation and ability to change has been done in the past. We as Americans need to look to the past and say, okay, this is how we did it before. Why don't we try something like that again? Set good guide rails, not punitive, not idiotic, good guide rails. We don't want them to use water. Okay, they're fixing that. We don't want them to draw a lot of power off the grid. Okay, they're working on that. Nuclear plants, natural gas plants, and other stuff like that, they're popping up. And we don't want a lot of noise. Hey, guess what? Immersion both takes less power and makes less need for noise to cool the mineral oil. And also, the ability to use the new fan technologies deals with the sound you would hear and the sound you would feel, which a lot of people have complained about as well. So the technology is out there. Our ability to make the change for this is out there. So we need to rethink this, stop with the fear mongering about data centers. People are awake to the issues now, and now it's not time to complain about past issues, but start articulating future answers. Because data centers and technology will always be part of our life. Even if you don't want it to be, it is. Everybody, absolutely everybody in some way touches technology a number of times each and every day.